Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Now, a couple of days ago, I met this young gentleman, and he was in his 30s. He was very young, and he said that he has been practicing spirituality, meditation, and Buddhism for a long period of time, more than 4 years. And he said, all of a sudden, unfortunately, his parents died because of a car crash. And with that incident, none of his spiritual practices and meditations and what he have learned about the spirituality and Buddhism, none of them worked. And he started to grieve and suffer and the pain. He could not handle it. So he asked from me, how can I handle this grief and how can I handle this losing loved ones? So here's the thing. It is very difficult. I know it is very difficult to handle this situation because losing loved ones is one of the most difficult things and most difficult pains that we have to go through in all of our lives. Okay, the Buddha said that this is one of the truths in our life. We all have to face, no matter where we are born, no matter who we all have to go through this situation. Either we are going to lose our loved ones or they are going to lose us. Okay, this is the truth in our life. But how can we handle the pain when we go through these tough times? It is all about practice. And it is and also remember, no matter how much you practice the spirituality and no matter how much you practice these meditations, all of us, all the things about the spirituality, don't think that you're going to be okay with losing loved ones. Okay, you will definitely feel sadness. You will definitely feel that grief inside you, because that is the truth in our life. But there are several things that we can do to handle this pain. Okay, there are several things that we can do to get up from this pain. It is not about how often you fall down. It is about how you stand up and how you bounce back from that difficult situation. So one thing that we have to remember is that one advice that Buddha gave us is try to recall and try to reflect about the life, the truth in this life, that I'm going to lose every loving person around me. Now, this may seem scary to you because no one likes to think that they are going to lose the loved people, loving people, maybe their parents, maybe their husband and wife, children. No one likes to think about it. They're going to lose that person. But the reality is that one day we have to face that situation. No one can deny it. No one can deny the truth. Okay? So when you think about it and when you get ready for that situation, to make up your mind to face that situation with a strong mind, then it is very easy for you to ease the pain. It doesn't mean that you don't feel the pain. It means that it will help you to ease the pain and get out from it and get on with your life again. Okay? So the Buddha said, oftenly, this is one advice from the Buddha. The Buddha said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti abhinnang pachavekithambam. Oftenly reflect that I am going to lose loving people around me one day. Okay? When you know that, when you think about it in the correct way, you know that you don't have much time with these people. You have a little time with these people. In this human world, we have a little time, right? We don't have much time. So you know that if we were able to live like more than 90 years, okay, that is very lucky, that we are very lucky. So that is the thing. We have little time on this earth. Okay, we have little time with these people. In that little time, if we know that we are going to lose them, in that little time, we can cherish the memories, and we can be with them with we can treat them kindly. We can treat them with compassion. Okay, and we can be a good person to them, be a good memory to them. So if you became a good memory to the people around you, then you don't have to worry about losing them. Why? Because you became a good person to them. Okay, you made them happy and you treated them kindly. That is what they need, and that's what people need. That's what people around us need from us. Okay, so in that little time we gave the best we can. Okay, so in that way you can be happy. Okay, although this person left me, although my parents died or left me, although my husband or wife, my children left me, I don't want to worry about it because I became a happy memory, a good memory to them. I treated them nicely and kindly while they were alive. Okay, by thinking that, you can be happy, but you get the chance to think about it only when you think about that you're going to lose them one day. Okay, so thinking about losing loved ones is not that negative. Okay, if you think it in a correct way. So if you have gotten ready for that, then you think like, oh, this is what I have expected, and I was expecting this. Okay, so in that way, remember, one day we all have to go through this situation. If we can make up our mind to be a good person and to be a good memory to them, then that is the best thing that you can do. And also remember one thing, okay? There are people, loving people around you, and they became the source of happiness of yourself. And when they die, don't make them the source of your pain. Okay, if they see you that you're wailing and you're crying and you're lamenting and you're worrying about their death, they will not be happy. And also remember, the people who lived around you became the source of your happiness. So after their death, do not make them the source of your pain and agony. So keep them in your mind. So treat people nicely and kindly while they are alive, and then you can be happy with your life. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. If there is one thing in common in this world that all living beings search for, that is the happiness. We all like to be happy. We all seek happiness in this world. If I ask from you, would you like to be happy in your life? What will be your answer? You will say, of course, I want to be happy in my life. I want this peaceful state. I need to be in that. That is your answer. That is the answer of all living beings. Buddha says that all living beings likes to be happy and they seek the happiness. If you really think about our life, we are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. Let me tell that again. We are in a never-ending journey of pursuing happiness. That means we are pursuing happiness, we are chasing and we are seeking for happiness, but yet we have not found it. So, what is the reason for this not finding happiness? Why we don't find happiness in our life? We are seeking it, we are finding for it, but we don't find it. What is the reason? Well, the Buddha teaches us that we are finding or we are seeking this happiness from a source that the happiness does not exist. Because we are seeking happiness from external world. We are seeking happiness from these materialistic things. Well, when you seek happiness from materialistic things or external world, you get pleasure, but that is not happiness. Pleasure is something temporary and it gives you this instant gratification. But in happiness, the happiness is long-lasting and it gives you this happiness or the contentment about yourself. So that is why Buddha teaches us that you're finding the happiness from a source where the happiness does not exist. So the more you find it, the more you become frustrated. So, will we ever be able to find happiness in our life? The Buddha answers this question. He says, yes, you can find happiness in your life. How to do that? If you look closely, to the first and the second verses of Dhammapada, Buddha says, if one with an impure mind speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him like a cart wheel following the ox. If with an impure mind one speaks or acts, the suffering will follow him. And in the next verse, Buddha says, if with a pure mind one speaks or acts, the happiness will follow him like a shadow following a man. So that means the happiness and the sadness entirely depends on the purity and the impurity of our mind. When our mind is pure, we can find the happiness. So, how can we find, or how can we gain this purity in our mind in order to find the happiness? Well, Buddha teaches us there are a lot of things that you can do to make your mind pure. So today, I'm going to share with you a few things that can give you the happiness in your life, that you can find the happiness in your life. First thing, accepting the reality of life will give you the happiness. You know, life is full of ups and downs. Sometimes you have good days, sometimes we have bad days, sometimes we have beautiful memories, sometimes we also have miserable memories. So life is not something that is going equally every day. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. When you realize this reality, you can face these situations successfully, right? It is not always this bad experience makes us frustrated. It is our reaction towards this bad experience makes us frustrated. Whenever you get a bad experience or a bad day or a bad situation, tough situation, difficult situation, you have two choices. Either you can focus on the pain and feel miserable about that situation, or you can focus on the lesson that bad situation teaches us and learn from it and start growing your life. So, if you accept the reality of life, it is not temporary. Sometimes the people around us are not in our control. We cannot control their reactions. We cannot control their opinions. So when you realize these situations, you can face those situations successfully. That is one thing, accepting reality of the life. Number two, Buddha said, be generous. Practicing generosity is a major practice in Buddhism. Well, in Buddhism, the generosity is known as dana. In dana, Buddha says that you have to give without any expectations. We have to give and we have to dedicate towards others without expecting anything in return. That is one thing that we have to practice. Most of the time, we like to hold on to things or gather the things towards us. That is what people think. When you gather more, when you collect more things, you will get rich and you will gain happiness. But that does not give you the happiness. It will give you the pleasure, but it is temporary. So what we have to do, Buddha says, be generous, give, help others, dedicate a part of your life on behalf of others. When you do that, when you become more generous, let's say like this, you gave some foods to a poor person, let's say like that. When you see that person is having those foods and overcoming his hunger and making his life much better, you can be happy by seeing that. When you become happy like that, you feel happy about yourself, right? Nothing can give you that happiness, like by eating a good food, By dressing a nice dress, you cannot gain that happiness. You don't feel happy about yourself, right? Let's say after hundred of years later, maybe 10 decades later, when you think about that incident, I gave this food to this poor person. When you remind that, you feel happy. Even then you feel happy. That means happiness is long-lasting. So Buddha says, be generous, help people, do something nice every day for a person. That is one thing we can do. And number 3, forgiving. Forgiving is one of the most important things that we can do to create happiness in our life. We have to forgive ourselves. Also, we have to forgive others too. Because forgiving, when you forgive, it doesn't mean that you are saying okay to others' mistakes. It's okay. No, you're not saying like that. When you forgive, you make your heart free. So when you forgive, it's not for that person, it is for you. And also we have to forgive for ourselves. There are so many mistakes that we all have done in the past. If you hold on to past, and if you make this present moment miserable, that will not give you the happiness. So what do we have to do? Whatever the bad thing that we have done in the past, we have to have this ability to forgive ourselves and start all over again. We all have that ability, right? We all have that privilege to start our life again and make it a better one. Okay? So no one is perfect in this world. We all have done mistakes. One thing that we have to do is to forgive and start doing good things. So these are 5 things that we can do to create happiness in our life. And also, there is one happiness that is called the ultimate happiness in this world that the Buddha teaches us. That is called Nibbana or Nirvana. That is the enlightenment. When you realize about the reality of this life, and when you remove this desire or the craving that arises within your mind, then Buddha says that is the ultimate happiness. Simply, the Nibbana means Ragakkayo, Dosakkayo, Mohakkayo, Nibbana. That means removing of the desire, anger, and the delusion of the mind is called the enlightenment. So that is the highest level of happiness that we all can reach. So when you practice these practices, right, when you engage yourself in wholesome state, that will create you the happiness in the life. So practice these things and make your life a happier one. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we are going to learn how to correct a mistake that has done by a person without hurting their feelings. First of all, we all have to know that we all are humans and we make mistakes. We all make mistakes, right? You, I, we all are the people who are making mistakes. For sometimes, when we are dealing with people, when we live with people around us, we will see that the people around us are making mistakes. They do wrong things. Sometimes they may be the people who love you most. So in such times, we have to correct them. We have to show the correct path and we have to put them into the correct way. But when we do that, we do it in an unsuccessful way. Most of the time, we use anger, resentment, we use punishments to correct people. Remember, when you use anger, when you use the punishments, when you use the resentment to show the correct path to people, they will never correct their mistakes. Right? Because when someone's mind is in anger, right? He cannot understand what is good and what is bad, what should be done and what should not be done. So there is a way, and there is a proper way to correct a mistake of a person. So how to do that? Now this way was taught by our great Arahant Sariputta. Our great Arahant Sariputta says that you need to establish 5 things inside your mind before reproving someone or before correcting a mistake that has done by a person. So what are these 5 things? Number 1, remember, you need to speak at the proper time. That means you need to show the mistake of that person at the proper time. So what is the proper time to show a mistake to a person? Remember, never show a mistake to a person when that person is in anger. Because when your mind is in anger, you cannot know what is good and what is bad and what should not be done and what should be done. Therefore, you need to wait until that person cools down. Right? Don't show the mistakes to people when they are in anger. They will never correct their mistakes. Right? That is the first step. And the second step, never show mistakes to people in public. Right? When that person is surrounded by some other people, never talk about their mistakes. Why? Because in these days, people have a bigger personality, right? People show a big image to the society, right? You have a Facebook account, you have an Instagram account, you are on social media, and you show something to this society, and you think that you are a person and you are like a kind of a person in this society. So when you show a mistake of that person in front of others, right? When you complain to that person in front of people, remember, you are not only damaging his mind, you are damaging his personality. Remember, damaging to one's personality is one of the most dangerous and most worst thing that a human can undergo. Therefore, never show the mistakes to people in front of others. If you want to show a mistake to a person, talk to them privately, right? Bring him under a shade or maybe a calm and quiet place and talk to them, right? They will like to hear that, right? So never show the mistakes to people in front of others. So that is the proper time. And the second thing, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak truthfully, right? That means you need to complain to the person that has done the mistake exactly, not to other people. Because sometimes, because of the misunderstandings, because of miscommunications, we complain to the people who have not done any mistake. Right? We make false accusations. When someone is going through a false accusation, it is very hard for that person. Remember. Therefore, before complaining to someone, before showing a mistake to a person, find that exactly has this person done this mistake or not. Okay? So you need to be truthful. You need to find whether this person has done this mistake or not. Do not make false accusations. That is the second one. Number 3, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak gentle words. Never use harsh and rude words to explain the things to people, to explain the mistakes to people, right? When you use the hard and rude words like the words of anger, right, they will shut their ears, they will shut their eyes, They don't like to hear the rude words. In case no one likes to hear rude words, right? Therefore, if you need to explain a mistake that has done by someone else, then speak kind and gentle words, right? Speak heartwarming words. Then they will start to hear that, because we have a higher sensitivity to love and kindness. Therefore, use the words of love and kindness to explain the mistakes to people. Then they will correct their mistakes. And number 4, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak in a beneficial way. Remember that. That means when you are speaking and when you are explaining that mistake to that person, you need to give that feeling that this person, the reason why this person is explaining this mistake to me is because he loves me, right? He wishes the development of me. That is why he's showing this mistake to me. You need to give that feeling to that person. So how to give that? So there's a way to show a mistake to a person. There's a way to complain about a mistake to a person. It's like this. First of all, you need to talk to that person privately. And first of all, in the first step, what you have to do is you need to give a value to that person. Let's say, for an example, one of your co-workers made a mistake. Now you have to show that mistake. So first of all, you need to give a value to his profession. You need to give a value to what he's doing in a company, right? First of all, you need to say, you are doing a great job in this company. You have a great value. You give a great value to this company. Right? When you're praising that person, he will open their eyes and ears. And then in the second step, you need to show the mistake, but you have done this mistake, right? You're doing this mistake. Because of doing this mistake, because you are doing this mistake, there is a huge disadvantage for the company as well as for you. You have to explain like that. Then after that, after explaining the mistake to them, as the third step, again, you need to give a value to his profession. Or you need to give a value to his life, right? You are doing a great job, so do not do this mistake again. You need to correct this. If you explain the mistake in that way, remember, everyone who you need to show the mistakes will correct their mistakes, right? And in the final thing, right? The final thing, Arahant Sariputta said, you need to speak with a heart of loving kindness, right? Not while harboring the hatred thoughts. Because so many people show the mistakes to other people, right? To maybe to your children, maybe to your husband or wife or colleagues or co-workers, whoever it is. You get the anger to your mind and then you start to speak, right? Never do that. You need to be kind to the people. You need to have the compassion inside you. With that, you can do a great job, right? You can heal others' hearts. And also, you can correct the mistakes of people successfully. So, you need to use your word wisely and properly, because your words can change the lives of people. Words are so powerful, it can make people, and also, in the same way, it can break people. Therefore, when you show the mistakes to people, you need to speak kindly, gently, and in the proper time with a mind of love and kindness. So try this out and see the difference of your life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now in today's video, we're going to talk about how to handle a heartbreak and how to heal your heart. One of our viewers have asked from us that how can I handle my sorrow of losing a loved one? And how can I handle the heartbreak, the sorrow of heartbreak? Well, first of all, I must say, a heartbreak or losing a loved one is one of the most hardest experiences that a human can undergo, right? Because we have that mental bond and mental attachment within people. When that mental attachment is broken, we start to suffer, we start to cry, and we start to wail. So there are some ways that you can get over this sorrow. So this whole video is dedicated for all the people out there who are going through heartbreaks and who are experiencing tough times in their life. So I think this video will help you to have some light on your way. So there are some ways and things that we can do to heal ourselves. But remember, this healing process takes time. It's like a wound, right? Wound is not healed in a day or 2 days or 3 days. It takes time, right? So we have to be in a constant process of healing that wound. So same goes with a heartbreak. So what we can do to heal our heart from a heartbreak. Number one, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry. Remember that, right? There are some people who are going through heartbreaks and they don't like to cry. They pretend to be they're okay, right? They pretend to the world that they are okay and they have got over the problem. They smile, but not inside. Remember, if you need to cry, it's okay to cry, right? Go to a private place or go to your room and cry. It's okay, because crying is one of the most natural way of removing the pressure that is building up inside your mind and inside your heart. So it's okay to cry, especially for men, because men always try to hide their tears and they pretend to be they're okay. But remember, men are also allowed to cry, okay? So if you need to cry and if you need to remove and release that pressure that is building inside, then it's not a problem of shedding a tear. Number two, you can find a person who you can share your pain and who you can share the sorrow and the pressure that is building inside you, right? Well, you need to be wise when you choose this person. Why? Because there are some people out there who give hate comments and hateful comments to the person who cheated you, right? When they give those hate comments and when they try to build up the hate within you, right? It is not good for you. It's not good for your mental health and it's not good for your physical health either. So what you have to do, choose the person wisely and share your pain with him. Find a person who can share that sorrow, right? That person can be your mother, your father, maybe one of your friends, maybe one of your teachers or mentors, whoever it is. Find a person who keep listening to you without saying anything, without giving many advice to you. Find a person who keeps listening to you, right? Find a person who you can share your pain that is building inside. That is the second step. And number three, this is the most important thing that you need to practice. And this is one of the things that many people who are in relationships doesn't like to think about. And what is that? Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said, Sabbehi me piyehi manapehi nana bhavo vina bhavoti abhinnang paccavekitappa. What does that mean? Supreme Buddha said, Always reflect and recollect in your mind that one day I have to be parted and separated from all the dear and agreeable people in my life. Isn't that the truth? Yes, it is. That is the truth. But we don't like to think about that when people are in relationships. They will think it will ruin their relationship, it will ruin the bond between people. But in reality, it is not. Remember, when you think that I have to be separated, one day I have to be separated from this person that is sitting in front of me, the person who I love most. One day I have to be separated from this person, at least at the death. So I have a little time to love this person, give my love, my kindness, my attention, my compassion to this person. So I must give this fullest love to this person. Remember, true love will never break your heart. That's amazing, isn't it? True love, when you love someone truly, if that person leaves you, you will never be heartbroken. But if you become attached to that person, if you are mentally too much attached to that person, and that attachment is the thing that breaks your heart. That is why Buddha said attachment brings the suffering to your life. So remember, true love will never break your heart, but the attachment does. Right? So if you are curious about what is true love and what is attachment, there's another video that has done by us about explaining the true love, so you can check out that. So remember, when you truly love someone, your heart will never be broken. Right? So what you have to think is, always, whenever you are possible, you need to think, I have to be separated from these people around me. Right? So when you think that, your mind is getting prepared to face that situation. Right? You can imagine how I'm going to recover myself if this person left me. How I'm going to do that. Right? Then if your mind is pre-prepared for that situation, when you're going through such a situation in reality, you will start to think, this is what I was thinking about, right? So when your mind is get prepared to face that reality in the life, right? You can be more confident, you can be more strong when you face that situation in real life. So that is the thing that you have to always think about that. And also, remember, I told you, heartbreak is like a wound. Remember, if you need to heal this wound, you need to decrease the amount of touching it. Right? Now, I don't say that you need to forget the person. Right? You cannot forget the person, but you can reduce the amount of attention for those past thoughts. Because when you're alone, right, after a heartbreak, after a breakup, when you're alone, right, you're thinking about the moments and the things that happened in the past. The more you think about those things, the more you will be frustrated and the more you will be sad. So what you have to do, reduce the amount of attention that you are giving to that kind of thoughts, right? So you can do that, but you cannot forget that from time to time, those thoughts will haunt your mind. But when you're not giving much more attention, when you're not giving much attention to those kind of thoughts constantly, and with the time, it will fade away, right? So you don't try to stop the thoughts, but let the thoughts to fade away from your life. And keep this in your mind. Whatever the terrible situation that you are going through in your life, it is going to be changed one day. Because none of our life experiences are permanent, right? Every experience, every tough situation, every happy time, and every experience that we face in our own life are impermanent. They will change with the time. So remember, you're going to heal one day. You're going to be okay one day, right? So have some experience with these tough situations in our life. Remember, these experiences make our life more and more strong. So these are 5 things that you can do to heal your broken heart, right? So I hope you got some ideas to how to heal your broken heart. And most importantly, don't forget to remember what our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught. One day, we all have to be separated from every loving person around us. So we have a short time in this life, so we have to give our fullest love to these people around us and expect nothing from this world, because our expectations will make us suffering. So remember that. And I'm going to end this video with a nice quote, and that is, when you are heartbroken, cry, forgive, learn from your experiences, and let your tears water the seeds of your future happiness. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now it's been a long time that we haven't done a Q&A session. So today we are going to answer one of your questions. Someone has mentioned in the comments that it said that what to do when the life is becoming unfair, and what to do when life is not going in my way. Well, we are going to talk about this today. First of all, remember the nature of our life. What is the nature of our life? Life is a little bit unfair. That is the real nature. But the problem is, we expect that everything in our life to be perfect and to be fair. That is the problem. That is where the real problem is. Because Buddha said, if you have expectations, if you have more and more expectations inside yourself, chances are very high for you to feel so stressed. So remember that expectations stands for suffering. If you expect the life to be fair, you will suffer, right? So the nature of our life is, it is a little bit unfair. So how to face such situations, how to face unfair situations in our life? Well, I want you to do 3 things when you face tough situations in your life, right? These are very simple, but yet when you practice it, it is very hard to do that, but you can achieve it. Number 1, first of all, you need to realize what the situation is. That is the first thing that you have to do. If you're going through a hard time, right, you need to analyze about that and see what the problem is. Well, there are 2 types of situations in our life. What is that? First type of situation is the situations which are in our control, experiences which can be changed by ourselves, right? And the second type of situation is the situations which are out of our control. We cannot do many things about that situation, right? So these are the 2 types of situations that we go through in our life. So first of all, you need to analyze and you need to see what the problem is, whether it is in my control or out of my control. Right? When you realize about the situation, then you can do something about that situation. Okay? That is the first thing you have to do. Analyze the situation. Number 2, if it is a situation that is in your control, just do something to change that situation. So what are the things that are in our control? What are the situations and experiences that we face in our life and which are in our control? Well, if you face a bad time, if you face a stressful situation because of your own faults, because of a mistake that is within yourself, then you can change it. Because we own our mistakes. We are the owners of our mistakes, and the mistakes can only be changed by ourselves. No one can change that. Someone can advise you, someone can show you the path, but no one can make it correct than you. So what you have to do, you have to change the situation. If it is your mistake, correct it. If it is your fault, then do something about it to change that situation. So these are the things that are in our control. Remember. Here's the third one. When we face the situations that are out of our control, how to face that situation? Well, these are the situations we spend most of our time trying to change that, but we cannot do anything about that situation. So what are the situations which are out of our control? There are many things, right? Criticism is out of your control. People's opinions, they are out of our control. How people behave in front of you is totally out of your control. They are their choices, not your own choice. But we try to change these situations and we become so sad and depressed trying to change, and we find that we cannot change this situation. So if you cannot change the situation, what you have to do, you have to change your perspective about the situation, right? You can change the perspective about the situation, because the perspective, the perspective and the way you see that about that situation is totally in your control, because your thoughts are in your control, right? So what you need to do is, if you cannot change the situation, change the perspective, change the way you see about that situation. Okay? So remember, when people act weird in front of you, when people try to make you angry, when people criticize you, right? When people give unwanted opinions about you, just think, these things are out of my control. I should not waste my time of my life to change these situations. It is much better to change my perspective about this situation. So how can you change the situation? How can you change the perspective? You can be kind to them, right? You can maintain a positive mindset inside you, right? It is much better to maintain a positive mindset daily, every day, right? Listen to some things, positive words every day. It is much better to do that, because the more you listen to the positive words, positive ideas, right? Then the more you become positive inside, right? Then you can change your perspective about the situation. That is what you can do. Always remember what Buddha said. It is a nice quote that Buddha said that describes about the life. Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati, chinti tampi vinasati." That is one of the greatest and one of the nicest quotes that Buddha have told about the life. In life, Buddha said, "Achinti tampi bhavati." Most of the times, unexpected things happen. Isn't that true? We don't know what will happen in the next time, right? It is a mystery. So in life, always unexpected things happen. And the things that we expected will going to be destroyed, right? If we expect something, we don't get the same thing. That is the thing. So remember that quote that was said by the Buddha, achintitampi bhavati chintitampi vinasati, right? And there's another quote that was said by the Buddha, sadharanang vihanyanti. If you expect the life to be fair, chances are more that for you to suffer in your life. So live with less expectations, right? If you are going through a tough situation, just analyze the situation, realize about the situation, and if you can change the situation, do something about it. If you cannot do it, something about the situation, change your perspective. That is what you can do when the life is not going in your way. So make your life a peaceful one with the teachings. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing with you some thoughts of the Buddha about praise and blame. Now, when we think about our life, when people criticize us, when people blame us, what is our normal reaction? We feel angry about ourselves in the first place. And we tend to hate that person, of course. And also we feel sad in the same time. This is our normal reaction. And on the other hand, when people praise us, what is our reaction? We feel so much happy. We tend to think like, I'm the best. Well, Buddha teaches us these things are two extremes. Becoming too much happy when people praises you is one extreme. Becoming too much sad when people criticizes you is another extreme. So what do we have to do in such situations? The Buddha says you have to maintain a moderate mind in such situations. So how to do that? Well, let me tell you a nice story about how Buddha dealt with such a situation. One day, while the Buddha was walking down the street with a group of monks, two people came behind the Buddha and they started talking each other. One was praising the Buddha. One was saying so much good qualities and good things about the Buddha, and the other person started blaming the Buddha. He started criticizing the Buddha. But in that case, in that instance, Buddha didn't react to such things. What he did was he kept walking. He went his journey. And in the other day, the monks gathered around and they were discussing about the incident that had happened in the last day. They were talking, it's really amazing that these two people came up to us and one was praising and in the same instance, the other one also criticizing us. We got the blame and the praise in the same time. Isn't that wonderful? Then while these monks was talking about this, the Buddha came to that place and said, "What are you talking about?" Then the monks said, "Oh, Venerable Sir, we were talking about the incident that was happened yesterday." Then the Buddha said, "Dear monks, when someone criticizes you, maybe when someone criticizes about the Buddha or his teachings or his followers about you, you should not be angry with them. You should not be displeased with them." Why? Then the Buddha said, if you become angry, if your mind is covered with anger, what is happening within you is you lose the ability to decide whether that criticism or whether that blame is true or false. You cannot understand about that because your mind is covered with anger. Anger has overcome your mind. So with an angry mind, you cannot decide what is good or bad. So in that case, Buddha taught us, you should not be angry. And you should wisely reflect about what he or she is telling us. Whether that bad quality or whether that criticism, whether that fault is within us or not. You have to think like that, right? If that fault or if that mistake is within you, then what do you have to do? You have to correct it. Make it correct. Develop your life. So that is one thing that you have to do. And if there is no such thing, or if that person is falsely accusing you, if there is no such mistake inside your mind, inside your life, and still that person is criticizing you, what do you have to do? Just let that go. Don't care about that because it is not in your life. You should not be angry. That is one thing that you have to do. When you practice in a such way, what happens to you is you maintain a moderate mind. You're not going to an extreme. You're not becoming too much angry. You're not feeling too much sad about yourself. That is one thing that we can do. And in the other hand, when people praises us, we become too much happy. The Buddha said, no, you should not be too much happy about that. The Buddha said, when someone praises you, when someone says good things about you, what do you have to do? Don't be too much happy, because when you become too much happy, it also acts as a hindrance to your mind. When you become overjoyed, you lose your ability to realize or find what is good or what is bad, whether that good thing is within my mind or not. You have to wisely reflect about your life. Is that good thing, is that good quality is within my mind or within my life? Am I doing that good thing or not? If you're doing that good thing, you don't want to be too much happy because it is already inside your life. You're doing that, right? So in that way, you're not becoming too much happy about the things, right? So these are the two extremes. When we bring our mind to the moderate way, not becoming too much happy, not becoming too much sad, then you can maintain a peaceful mind. Then you will not think about anyone or think about yourself that I am the best in the world. Because when people praises you, you think like, okay, I'm the best in here, right? That is not being humble. That is something like a swollen-headed person do, right? And the other hand, when people criticizes us, what you have to do, we should not be too much sad, right? If it is wrong, if the fault is within us, we have to correct it. And if the fault is not within us, just ignore it. That is what you have to do. So these are the thoughts of the Buddha about praise and blame. So practice this moderate mind whenever you are facing the praise and the blame in your life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. A quick question. I need to ask, how many times have you made timetables and to-do lists in the beginning of the year, maybe beginning of the term or beginning of the day, and you did nothing according to it? Now we all have done this. We all have made to-do lists, we all have made timetables, and we cannot stick to it. Why? Because we procrastinate. So in today's video, we're gonna be talking about what is procrastination and how to stop it. So first of all, don't be afraid of procrastination. Why? Because it's a normal human nature. You know, average human is a good procrastinator, right? Average human is lazy. We all have that feeling of procrastination and we all have that laziness within us. But if you need to rise above the average, if you need to be someone special, in this society, you have to stop these bad habits, right? So, first of all, don't be afraid of the procrastination. We can stop that. Remember, the procrastination or the postponing, this mental laziness within yourself is a habit, right? So habits are all in your head. It's not in your body, it's not in your environment, it's all in your head. So you can control it and you can stop it, right? So, first of all, let's talk about what is procrastination. The procrastination is that mental barrier or the mental resistance that keeps you away from doing the things what should be done, right? So for an example, when you wake up in the morning and if you have to study in the morning, do you feel like getting down from the bed and start studying? When you are in that situation, you find that mental stress and mental barrier inside you. Your mind says, no, just stay on the bed for 5 minutes. It's okay, I have time, I can do it later. That is what mind says all the time. But the same mind that told us to procrastinate will complain when the things getting worse. When the exams are near, when the deadline is near, if you haven't done anything, your same mind that directed you to procrastinate will complain for you. Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do the things according to the timetable? You are a procrastinator. That is what mind says, right? So we should not let our mind to trick us. So, how to stop procrastinating? Well, there is a nice Dhammapada verse that was preached by our Supreme Buddha. In that Dhammapada verse, we find lots of things that will help us to stop this bad habit. Supreme Buddha says, Uttanavato satimato suchikammassa nisammakarino. If a person is energetic, uttanavato, satimato, if he is mindful, suchikammassa nisammakarino, if he does the good thing and the right thing from his body and mind and from his speech, sanyatassacha dhammajivino, if he can control his sensual desires, sensual cravings, appamattassa yasobhivaddati, that diligent man's fame and wealth will be developed. So in that Dhammapada verse, we find everything what we need to stop procrastination. So what are these things? Supreme Buddha said, Uttanavato, be energetic, take action. Well, there's only one way to stop procrastination, and that is to take action. But that is a tough hurdle to jump, right? To be energetic, to take action, and to do the works, it's a tough thing to do. So what we should practice to jump this tough hurdle? We should practice, first of all, we should practice the mindfulness. That is why Supreme Buddha said, Uttanavato satimato. You should be mindful about yourself. You should be aware of yourself constantly. So for what we should be aware, we should be aware towards our mind, right? Now, before I told you, the procrastination is a mental condition, right? It is all in your head. It's a thought, it's an emotion. So you should be mindful and you should be aware of your thoughts, right? You should have that ability. When you become more aware of your thoughts, you can have that ability to detect what is coming inside to your mind. When the laziness comes in, when the lazy thoughts come in, you know, oh, there's a lazy thought. And now I need to take action, right? When the anger comes in, you can detect it. Now there's anger now. My mind is angry now. When you become more aware, then you get the opportunity to control it. When you become more aware of your thoughts, you will have that ability to control that thought. So first thing is to be aware, to be mindful, right? So that is why Supreme Buddha said, Uttanvato satimato, suchikamassa nisammakarino. Do what is right, right? So when you're studying, if your mobile phone is next to you, right? After some time, you get that mobile phone and you scroll through social media. You scroll through the phone. So in that time, if you can ask from yourself, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the good thing? Am I doing the thing that should be done? Then your mind answers, this is not what should I do. I should study, get back to study. Right? That is why Supreme Buddha said, always do what is right and do what should be done first. Right? After that, in the spare time, in the leisure time, you can have that experience. You can have that. You can enjoy yourself. Right? That is why Supreme Buddha said, Suchikamasa nisammakarino, sanyatassacha dhammajivino. You need to have that ability to control your sensual desires, right? Now, your mind likes to log on to social media, and your mind likes to be lazy and to stay without doing anything, right? So that is why your mind always tries to procrastinate. So Supreme Buddha said, to be a special person, to have the successfulness into your life, you need to give up the sensual desires for some extent, right? So it is very nice and it is very comfortable feeling that you feel in the morning on the bed, right? It is nice and warm. But if you have to study, you have to give up that pleasurable feeling, and you have to get back to studies. So that is why you need to have that mental power and mental ability to stop or to give up the sensual desires for some extent and do the work. Because if you do the easy thing, right? If you continue to do the easy thing always, remember, tomorrow will be hard. Your future will be hard. So if you need to be happy in the future, you have to undergo what is hard today. So that is why Supreme Buddha said, you need to control the sensual desires. If you can do these things, Supreme Buddha said, appamatasaya sobhivadati, that diligent man's fame and wealth will be developed. So these are the things which helps us to stay away from procrastination. So I need to share with you some more tips and more things to help you to stop this bad habit. Remember, the procrastination is a habit, and it is a way of relieving the stress, right? So for an example, if your exams are near, right? If you have a lot to study, normally what you do you study or you procrastinate? You procrastinate because your mind needs to relieve that stress in some way. So your mind chooses the easiest way to procrastinate. So always remember, it is a habit and that habit can be broken. So how to break your habit? There is only one way: to take action, right? Do the opposite thing. In the case of procrastination, you have to take action, right? So that is what you should be done. And also there's another thing. When you make the timetables, when you make the to-do lists, always make the to-do lists and the timetables that you can afford. Sometimes students, they make the timetables and to-do lists that they cannot afford those things, right? For an example, many of us make the timetables like this. I'm going to study for 1.5 hours. I'm going to study for 3 hours. But your mind is not ready for that. So what you have to do? you have to make achievable and realistic goals and timetables. Let's say like this: if you have to study for 5 minutes, would you be happy? Only for 5 minutes. Your mind also happy, and your mind tends to do that, right? So what you have to do, just if you cannot study for maybe 20 minutes, just make a timetable or a to-do list to study for 5 minutes. Tell your mind that I have to study only for 5 minutes. Just that, it's all, right? Then you have that motivation, and then you have that power to get up from the bed and get up from the place where you are and start studying. So what you have to do, set the achievable goals in your timetables, right? You can start from 5 minutes, or if you cannot start from 5 minutes, just start from 1 minute. It's okay. If you cannot start from 5 minutes, just start from 1 minute. Who cares? It's okay. The reason that we have to set these achievable goals is because when we set these small goals, right, small tasks, in reality, we do more than that, right? Everyone can study more than 5 minutes. Everyone can study more than 1 minute. So in reality, you do more than that, right? And by the time, little by little, you can increase the amount of time that you are studying, right? So that is much better than postponing the works. That is much better than doing nothing. So always set the achievable tasks. And there's another one. Ask one of your friends or one of your parents to review what you have done at the end of the day. Then you will have that motivation, or you will have that power inside to do more and more, to impress your friends, maybe to impress your parents, right? Ask one of your friends or parents to review and check what you have done. And also, this is the main thing that you have to do. You need to change your mindset. Don't label yourself as a procrastinator. Remember, you're not a procrastinator, but you only have a habit of procrastinating. So you can break it. The more you label yourself as a procrastinator, the more you will procrastinate. So what you have to do, change your mindset and think that this can be broken, this bad habit can be broken, and I have that power inside me to do work and to be successful. Okay? So these are the things that we can do to stop procrastination. And always remember, finally, always remember this, right? When you're procrastinating, when you're postponing, you're not only postponing and procrastinating your work, but you also procrastinate your happiness. So don't let your procrastination to destroy your happiness. So stop procrastination by practicing these tips and have a happy life. Namo Buddhaya.